Hola, welcome to Building Conversations with Girls in Civil. We're bringing you conversations on civil engineering, construction, and personal and professional growth to the stories of women shaping the industry. Real talk, real experiences, and maybe a few laughs along the way. Let's start building. So, hello everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Building Conversations with Girls in Civil. Today I'm so excited to have a new woman with us sharing her story. She has done a lot, so I'm gonna let her kind of take over this. But just to give you guys an introduction, Lauren is a roadway design analyst at Kimley-Horn and a recognized leader within the American Society of Civil Engineers. She was named a 2026 ASCE New Face of Civil Engineering. That's impressive. And currently serves as the Director of External Affairs for the Georgia section, after previously serving as the Director of Young Members. Okay, I love that. Lauren is passionate about shaping the future of civil engineering through both design and leadership, with a focus on professional growth, professional development, community building, and inspiring the next generation. Her work centers on transportation projects that improve mobility, safety, and connectivity across Georgia. So if that didn't impress you already, I don't know what else, but I am so glad to have you here, Lauren. Um, we just wanted to hear your story and kind of share with everybody what you have been up to for the last couple of years, getting into your career and kind of developing. So welcome.
So all of the things that you said were true, but I promise you, I'm just Lauren. I'm the biggest fan of Girls in Civil and everything that y'all are doing to promote, to bring awareness to the field and all that good stuff. But for me, I always knew I wanted to be a civil engineer. I had a very close family friend that's like a grandfather to me who was in construction. So I grew up around that, probably annoyed him on job sites, but I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I went on to go to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona Beach, Florida. And you're probably wondering, Lauren, why did you go to an aeronautical school for civil engineering? And I did do some dual enrollment in high school with Embry-Riddle, and then I really fell in love with campus. And I just, found out there was civil engineering there, and I knew that I needed to be on a smaller campus, which is probably crazy for me to say because I am rather extroverted, but it really gave me the opportunity to learn a lot about myself and really get into the weeds on the problem solving. I was able to really grow into myself during my time there, and with it already being a male-dominated school, I went right into civil, which I will report was women-led. So that's one of the random facts that kind of, I really connected with everybody that I was in school with because I graduated with 3 other people my semester. So lots of group projects. Because I was in a smaller class setting, that means leadership was inevitable for me. So when I was involved with ASCE on the student chapter level, I was doing a little bit of everything. Smaller chapters needed a lot of help and a lot of resources. So we were doing 50 different things and all that we could to promote it. And for me, I knew once I, found Kimley-Horn, I had applied on LinkedIn. I had no idea who was going to hire me because everybody, people I'm sitting in physics class with, they're getting these massive internships with NASA and Boeing and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, well, I guess I ought to try to do something. So I was able to get on, and I did 3 internships actually with Kimley-Horn in roadway design. And I remember that second when I was kind of asked, what do you want to do? I had a panic moment and I opened up my grades for that semester, and my transportation class was the highest. That's kind of a little funny story, but I was being honest. I was being so realistic. Structures was not for me, even though I get to work with our structures group here on a couple of bridges and plans and all that good stuff. But I really just went on a limb, and I was able to find what I love doing. And for me, you just can't make it up. It's, almost a fairy tale story. And it's just been great every single day.
I love that for you because I remember like for me deciding on what I wanted to do after, I was like, I kind of like this and I kind of like that. I did know that I didn't like structure, so I was like, perfect. At least I know what I don't know. I don't want.
Yes.
I feel like sometimes it's easier just to check the boxes of like maybe I don't want this and maybe I did want this. Because I remember going out of school, I was like, yes, I want to be in the field. I want to do this and I want to just be there and every day. And then I was like, maybe I don't want to be in the sun all day or I don't want to be in the cold. So maybe going outside is not the best thing for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So I get it. And I love that you share your story because a lot of people are like, yes, I'm going to go to the big schools because that's where all the resources are. That's where I can kind of grow. But I love that you're seeing a small one, like a small university for you to be able to develop your leadership skills.
Oh,
So
yes.
maybe can you tell me a little bit more about your journey into civil engineering? You talked a little bit that it was maybe because of a grandparent or
Hmm.
something, but maybe how that kind of got into your building of your leadership skills or your presence on the leadership side because you're still early in your career. So
Hmm.
sometimes we get that part of like, oh, I don't know yet. Can I go and talk to the professional? So maybe talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So like I mentioned, I had a family friend who's like a grandfather to me. And, being with him on the job sites was a highlight of my childhood. And then also, I knew that I had no business being in any type of field or a subject that had anything to do with extensive reading and writing. I had a little spurt where I thought I was going to be a lawyer because I was doing mock trial in high school. And then I realized that that's a lot of time actually sitting in the library. And so when I was kind of going through high school, I was very strong in math and science classes. I did the engineering pathway. I was on the robotics team. I was doing Embry-Riddle dual enrollment. So any opportunity that I had to do something that wasn't reading or writing, um, that's what I was more geared towards. And when it comes time to make that decision, because I mean, you're 18 years old, 17, 18 years old, and you're quite literally deciding your entire future, off of one decision. Thankfully
Yes.
you can pivot when you are in school, but you get a little bit into the degree, halfway there. I definitely had a little bit of self-doubt in finishing the civil degree because I started, business minor, and I was like, oh, I'm a people person, that might be my way out. And I ultimately decided to stick with it. I did finish the business minor, and having exposure to those classes have made me marketable. So we get into having my presence and what I'm trying to do to advance the industry around civil engineering, and a lot of it is you keep up with your peers that are making moves, and you're learning from them. You're learning about the types of projects that you're doing, and you're posting about it on LinkedIn. That's the big ticket, and sometimes it can be a little cringe, like, hey, it's me again, let me tell you what I did this random Saturday volunteering with kids, doing a build your own neighborhood activity. But it's those kind of things where you're able to show um, your passions, and you're able to support other people because somebody could see that, connect the dots, message you on LinkedIn, and then next thing you know, you have like a consistent volunteer showing up for something, and they're not going to know that if you don't have postings on any of the social medias. And I know
That's
some
true.
people they like to separate, the Instagram and the Facebook presence. But one thing about me is on my social media platforms, my professional one on LinkedIn, my personal one, Instagram, all that kind of stuff, I'm the exact same person. and I'm authentically myself. So on my personal Instagram, we probably see my little brothers doing their sports, which is highlight for me getting to support them. But then on the technical side, I'm going to be sharing what my peers are doing. I'm going to be sharing what my coworkers are doing. And that has just been instrumental in me getting kind of this recognition all out of nowhere. I'm still in shock to this day. I wake up every single day just so blessed that I have the opportunity to work here at Kimley Horn and have my passion fulfilled that way through my projects. And then also I'm able to go outside of the office and support, the things that I needed when I was a kid. My high school, middle school, elementary school at that time, which I am still young, but there was not that many STEM opportunities. I didn't really get into that heavily until sophomore year of high school when I was on the robotics team with everybody that I've sat in, all the honors and AP classes with. So for me, that's always what I'm looking for. I'm seeking opportunities that fulfill my passions. And then I'm also trying to bring other people along with me. So I'm always spamming people like, oh, here's this event, here's that event. Oh, we need 3 people to come to this. So it's really nice having, my platform here at work, and then ASCE, like being able to connect people to just all kinds of things. And I really enjoy being the engineer connector, which is what I have in my LinkedIn profile, because I know too many people. And, what am I going to do with all of that, information? I love going to conferences and seeing familiar faces and finishing, a conversation I had with them a year ago. But, what good is that if I'm not sharing, my resources, which might be, another human, I'm
I
definitely
love
not
that for
gatekeeping.
you. I love that for you because that way you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for others. You're doing it for you to be able that to be that resource between one person and another. And I feel like sometimes we're just as young engineers who are like, oh my god, I don't want to talk to people, or I'm scared. But if
Hmm.
sometimes I go with someone else, it makes it easier. And if it's someone like you, that it's just being that resource and sharing that first, it's great. Like I love doing that, and I go to different events with
Hmm.
the people that I supervise, and I'm like, come with me. I'll lead. I'll start the conversation, but then I'll let you kind of get into it and slowly transition into that.
Yes,
So I love
yes.
that you're like that too. You're just putting yourself to kind of help them grow too, and it doesn't matter who is, like it's young, old, it doesn't matter. It's just
Hmm.
all of us, we're doing kind of the same thing. We want to grow. We want to meet people, and not just sometimes like even on a professional level. You want to meet them in the personal level that you can find. We're all humans in the same
At the
place.
end of the day, we really are.
I love that. And you said a lot about your kind of your experiences, and also congratulations on the Julius 35 on the 35 women in
Thank you.
engineering. I love that. I feel like that's such a great opportunity for you to also, since you're so outgoing, for you to be able to share, and you're like, wow, all of that I'm doing, it's worth it. Like people are seeing it.
Hmm.
So um, kind of what do you think some things that help you kind of stand out professionally?
Yeah, so just piggybacking off of what you just said of, trying to bring other people with me and along for the ride is I hope people think this, I am one of the most approachable people you could ever meet, and I've never met a stranger. So that's a great combination when I am going to a lot of these conferences or annual meetings, monthly meetings, all that good stuff. And I'm my authentic self every single time. So I'm probably going to be making some sort of dad joke. That's kind of what I'm known for. So that's easy to break the ice in a lot of these situations to at least get a chuckle. But I'm also just, I do my prep work before going to these meetings. So it might say that I viewed your LinkedIn profile. Number one, I'm not going to pay for premium. Um, and I want you to know that I'm being intentional, like, when I go to meet people And for me, I'm not always the best with remembering names, but I can remember a face and I can remember, probably your dog's name if you mentioned it once. So I'm really going into these conversations and I'm not necessarily being 100% just strategic. I want to make this connection, but I really go into it with my heart in the right place of being genuine when I am chit chatting with people. And I'm just, anytime you see me walking around the office, I'm talking to security, I'm talking to the janitorial staff. The people at our little cafe, they know me too well to where I can go in and not even have to order. But having those everyday conversations, even in passing, which essentially means I'm a yapper, but it really does pay off. And people are getting to see me and the characters and the morals and the values that I personally have. They're able to see that and how I move throughout the office and outside of the office. And I mentioned a little bit earlier, I'm 100% the same. Lauren, you're going to meet the same girl each time. And I think that's something that is my benefit because you're not going to catch me acting crazy over here or standoffish because I'm probably going to initiate conversation if I see that you're a little hesitant in doing so. And at the end of the day, it's one dad joke is all it takes to break the ice. And you're probably going to remember, like, oh, man, that was a terrible dad joke. But hey, at least she came over to talk to me. And so that's just some of the feedback and, some of the things have been so implemental in, what I'm trying to do. And it's just been great. Just break the ice.
I feel like something that you said that I feel like our listeners should really take on. It's one of the things for me stand out. It's like you have to do your research and you have to feel prepared. And I feel like sometimes doing the research, even talking to anybody, like if you're a person that talking to people is not my thing. I get it and I totally get it, but sometimes we have to do it. It's work. We have to. So
Hmm.
you can prepare yourself by talking to the people in the coffee shop, ask them how they're doing. Or maybe, like, as you mentioned, just talking to someone that you can feel comfortable slowly starting that conversation. And if you're picking up your coffee, it's not awkward to talk to them. You can talk to them. So
Yeah.
I feel like if you put yourself in those conversations, it makes it easier for you to prepare. So I feel like that's something that our listeners should take. Just be prepared or be sometimes I just have one question in my brain or people like to talk about themselves. So it's easier just to
Yes.
start a conversation that way. So I feel like that's great value that you're sharing.
And
And yeah,
I'll
you want
add
to share
one thing. I'm
something.
so sorry.
Go
The
for it.
soft skills, are just as important as your technical skills. And that is, I mean, that is kind of the key. You don't want to be the person that's, kind of like hugging the wall at some of these conferences. You really want to be brushing up on that. And just as you mentioned, going to the coffee shop, we're all there getting a nice vanilla latte. So, you might as well kind of start practicing those skills when and where you can.
And I think that's great. And as you were talking in general, kind of how has like STEM or kind of that side of like just sharing your career and why it's important for engineers to engage beyond like just at work, how important it is for you to kind of just step out of your comfort zone and go outside of work, because I know we have to be technical, we have to be professional, but how do you do it outside of work and kind of being that advocacy of STEM? I don't know, maybe talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So STEM advocacy is super meaningful to me. I mentioned briefly earlier, I didn't have all of these STEM camps that a lot of the kiddos have nowadays. So I feel like I'm almost like serving my inner child while having my passion of, doing all the roadway stuff. Like I'm able to share that and having two younger brothers, even though they're bigger than me nowadays. And we're in different age groups. So I have a 21-year-old brother who's studying mechanical engineering, and then I have a 14-year-old brother who's about to go into high school. So I haven't taken a break from being at all the different schools, just being big sister, and that's kind of come to my benefit because I know how to go in and how to engage with the students because my brothers were just there. Um, And when we talk about STEM advocacy and going to these outreach things and doing something that's outside of the office, 9 times out of 10, the people that you're emailing with back and forth on these projects, either A, they've done it themselves, or B, you're going to see them there at the event. So it's always great to see the bigger picture outside of the technical side of the job. And for me, it's, the mentorship and just knowing that somebody provided that for me. Like, I'm always looking for a way to pay it forward. And I'm able to go do the things that I love to do. And it just makes me like emotional, and I get like so
Mm-hmm.
excited about it because they are the future. And somebody was looking at us, and some, as we're a couple years into our careers, somebody was talking about this about us, like, oh my gosh, they're the future. But it's like, now we can literally see our future, and they need to be exposed to civil engineering. They need to be exposed to STEM in general. And if they don't have that, and somebody is not planting the seed for them, then there's no telling where they could end up. Hopefully they end up on their feet. That's always what we'd hope for. But some students are just lost, and they're lost in a sense, like they just don't know. And so I think that everybody, we always say in ASCE that civil engineers, we're working to promote the public's welfare through infrastructure. And that could be a sidewalk, but it could also be a sidewalk that a student is taking, walking to this library to go to this event. So there's a lot of different angles you could look at it. 100%, you can definitely find some sort of passion like within it. And for me, just seeing my little brother at one of the winter STEM camps that ASCE and Kimberly Horn actually um, hosted, seeing like his eyes light up, and he got to experience like what I get to experience every day at work, different font. But
Yeah.
for me, it was self-serving. It was just amazing that, number one, he actually put down the Fortnite and wanted to come. And then two, I was able to share a little bit of, what I do for work, because he's always like, I just tell everybody you're a civil engineer. And I was like, well, do you think that they, do they know what that means? Do they know what I do? And he's like, I don't know what you do. And so having that, honest conversation, sometimes we just gloss over things, and
Mm-hmm.
we can get caught in the weeds easily. And even though I have accolades and all this and all that, like, things still fall through the cracks. Like, I'm still
Totally.
human.
And I
And
get it, and I feel like it's so nice because it's also like you're just putting that seed in the like the kids, just doing the bridge with the
yes.
popsicle sticks.
Yes.
And it's so fun. Every time I do it, I have been doing it like 4 or 5 times, but I still enjoy it. I love seeing the kids and being like, "Oh, I'm gonna put one book on top of it,"
One
and I'm
book.
like, "Yes, just go for it." And I love that because they're really engaged and they're really understanding that what we're doing is it's more than that the same thing that you said. It's more than just a design. It's something that it's impacting the people outside of us, impacting them, it's impacting me, it's impacting
Mhm.
everybody. And sometimes it's difficult because like at least for us in the design side, it's sometimes a little bit difficult because we only see a computer, but
Yep.
then and it takes a couple years to kind of really you can see it in the real world. So but I feel like it's just being reminded that this is going to be an impact to people, and it doesn't matter. We're both in transportation, but it doesn't matter where what area you are. You
Uh-huh.
can kind of see the impacts that you're doing to the everyday lives. And I've said it before, and I love how, like, I heard it from someone else. It's just like, yeah, I'm designing roads, but I'm designing roads for the, like, I don't know, the doctor that's going to the hospital to save
Mhm.
someone's mother. Like, for me, that's a big deal. I don't know. So I love how you said it that way too, because it's really engaging people and kind of putting um what we do in like a smaller or like a little bit less technical,
Yes,
because
yes.
obviously they're not gonna understand, oh, the super elevation of the road is to do this.
Right. That 2%, that 2%. Yeah.
Exactly. They cannot see it on the road, so I get it. And I I love this conversation just to hear you more and kind of share your experiences and what people can take about like just being there. It doesn't matter if you're young or if you're a little bit older in the industry, you can still take this and kind of apply it to your everyday lives. And I love what you said about LinkedIn, kind of just like using your LinkedIn more and kind of taking advantage of it and sharing because n- people can see you and keep seeing you there. So I feel
Mhm.
like that's a great. And as we start to wrap this episode up, what advice would you give to young engineers who want to grow into these leadership roles but they don't know where to start?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest piece of advice is actually to start before you feel ready. I think that that gives you the opportunity to learn more about yourself, and then you'll be able to see your growth. Because if you're afraid of probably initiating a conversation, 3 months down the road, you're planning an event for 50 people, and that has been one of the things that is just really taking me very far. I, always tend to be the team mom here at work. That's my nickname, and I'm encouraging younger analysts at work. Like advocate for yourself, speak up, and take that on. You just never know. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Like, you have to phone a friend and get some help, then you phone a friend and get some help. And another thing is to not be afraid of failure. And I know that's like a cliche, like everybody's like, oh, like
Yeah.
don't be afraid of it, but sometimes you really have to kind of hit rock bottom to enjoy the view at the top. And for me, there's been um, a couple of, we'll say about a year or so into my career where I felt like I was, overlooked for every single thing. I felt like the underdog, and I didn't feel like I was reaching my full potential, but then I also didn't know how to reach my full potential. So I had to navigate that and a little bit of imposter syndrome, which I feel like everybody will touch that at some point in their career or even in college. But you want to get involved. You want to mentor other people. You want to be the same person. That's kind of like my theme, being the same person anywhere you meet me. And you also just want to show up. So showing up consistently is what helped me get some of this recognition. The continued posting on LinkedIn and being very vocal about the things that I'm doing outside of the office on top of my job, behind my desk. And so that has really, given me a great platform now to where I'm getting connected with people across the states, like all the way in California. I was like, I love California. But now somebody has reached out to me, like, hey, can you mentor me? And for me, that was kind of like, oh, like mama, I made it moment, because that means that you know, I've done all that I can do, that's within my power and my realm and my efforts to get to a place where I'm proud of myself. And there's always going to
Mhm.
be, reaching for more. So I definitely have that in the back of my mind. But that's also just like a little wink to me that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and somebody was brave enough to reach out on LinkedIn. And,
Mhm.
I'm having little, calls, as needed basis, or, what would you do for this? And I'm so excited for it because I did not have that. I didn't have that.
Mhm.
I have navigated all of this myself, and I I just had to make it. I come from a single parent household, and I'm the oldest, so I was second in command, and
Mhm.
I I had the grit. I have the grit, and it's been years and years of kind of perfecting the person who I want to be. So there's a lot of self-work that's not related to civil engineering that has gotten me here.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that, has morphed into me being the Lauren that you see on LinkedIn or the Lauren that you see in person. And I'm
Yeah.
just very blessed to have the opportunity, to get the recognition. And I'm not just letting these awards collect dust on my desk. Like, it's nice to have them there, but I'm hungry for more out here in the industry. And
Mm-hmm.
I want other people to see the benefit of just doing a little bit more, like challenging yourself just to do 1% more. And that could be volunteering your time, the 5 extra minutes to explain to, a younger staff member your thought process of why it's 2% for the super. All of that stuff will come back tenfold. And I'm living proof of that today, because I have a lot of intrinsic motivation, but there are definitely days where I thought that I would not be here and have all of this recognition and, just the growth. There were days where self-doubt kind of got me, but I powered through.
I love that for you, and it's so true what you're saying, because sometimes I have people in my team or people reach out, and girls in Seville, and they're like, "Oh my God, how do you guys got there? You guys are so big, or you guys are so confident," and I'm like, "Oh my God, girl."
If you only knew
You don't
little us.
know exactly. If you knew me a couple years ago, you would have been like, "Oh, how did you get here?" I feel like it's just seeing that growth, and then being aware of what you're doing, and being aware, as you mentioned, of how long, like how far you have come, because it's not like I'm here because I worked on it. Like, it's not just I decided one day and I was perfect. Now every
Hmm.
single day, and it keeps me kind of on my toes every time, and people like challenging me, and people being jail, can you do this? And I'm like, I don't know how to do it, but how can you help me do this?
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like in general this year, like my boss was retiring, and he was like, Jill, I need you to take more and more, and I'm like, oh my God, that feels like a lot.
Hmm.
But it's taking the chance and being like, and it's okay if you don't know it, and you're gonna be like, Jill, I don't know how to do this, or asking someone else, how can you help me? And we're all here to help. I think I've never asked someone something and they were like, no, I'm not going to do anything.
Right,
There,
right.
some people are like, well, I'll show you later. I don't have time right now. And I get it. And that's okay. But I feel like if, as you mentioned, just go for it and kind of put that first step, that has always worked on a lot. And as
Yeah.
I've shared before, like we in Girls and Civil, that's what we want to do. We want to be a platform, just like how Lauren's sharing her story right now. We want to be a platform for everybody to be comfortable and saying, I have a space that I can be myself and I can grow as the person that I want to be. Doesn't matter who you are, you can kind of grow. And it doesn't even matter sometimes if you're in engineering. People reach out to us and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so confused in this like example that the professor gave me or anything." I'm like, "We can try to help you as much as we
Yeah.
can." But sometimes even like, oh, let's like sharing a story like yours can help so many people just to feel that courage of like, "Oh, I don't know where to start, but they just told me to start." So if you're looking for a sign, this is your sign.
This is
Reach out
it.
to us, reach out to Lauren. I know I'm putting yourself out there, but reach out to her. I know she's gonna help you too. But thank you so much for this conversation. I really
Thank
did enjoy it
you.
so much. Is there anything else before we wrap up, or are you good with everything?
No, this has just been great. Never thought in a million years I'd be on a podcast. But
You
if there's
you have the experience, so this is
yeah, let me
perfect.
add that to resume immediately.
Exactly.
But if there's ever anything that I can do to help promote and, spread the word, you let me know. Happy to do it. And I'm just blessed that there is a community and we're able to kind of self gather.
Yeah,
And, I'm always inspired by something that I'm reading on the page. And, I like to think I'm pretty motivated, but sometimes you read another story and you're like, you know what? I need to kick it up a little bit. And so I think that
exactly. Or
having
I'm not alone. I feel like that's the
yes,
best thing. Like, I'm not alone. Someone else is going through the same things that I went through. Like that self-doubt, I already went through it. So I love hearing your story too, and kind of how you're in the in what you are right now and kind of how you're
Yeah.
growing. So that's great. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
for everybody that's listening, thank you for hearing us, and come back to the next episode. Bye.